selling out capacity crowd, biggest sellout crowd in history against Columbus Crew, where the grandstands at one point were rocking.
The whole place shook.
Keeping there across them. Now Mertz again trying to play in Deekwa. Deekwa's in behind! Deekwa's open the scoring!
I swear, if that stand wasn't sturdy enough, the amount of people that were pushing, we so wanted to just be down there with them.
Columbus was surrounded on both ends by an entire Steel Army section, which is just amazing to see.
Let's do that now.
Steel Army is a supporters group that was started in 2008, I believe. It was before my time. I started when we got Highmark Stadium, and seeing the growth. When I first joined the Steel Army, we had like 20 people, maybe 30 people, and watching every year that grow. And Highmark was a big deal for us.
I said I was born the same year the Hounds were kind of started. Going to games at high schools where there's 2 or 3 people, one with a drum kind of making noise, where it's kind of like, oh, like, who are these guys? Since we've had this stadium, I've never watched a game not in the Steel Army, in the supporter section, and now there's just really no way I can't go to a game or not hang out with kind of the Steel Army at that point.
Florida Highmark starts at 4 unless it is a holiday or our home opener, and then it starts at noon. You have some diehards who show up and you start getting that camaraderie. You see new people who are in the parking lot and you're like, hey, are you here alone? Do you only have 2 friends? Do you want 250 more friends? And we bring them over. I mean, you start building this momentum outside, and then we have a whole group of people who come in and set up early.
So we got 2 bass drums going. We put up banners. We have the Paul Childs stand banner that we put along the side of the section to let everybody know what they're walking into. At the top, we've got our Steel Army section banner. This past off season, we actually found that they make impact drill air horns. And of course, there's a DeWalt one, which is perfectly black and yellow. And every goal we scored during TIFO, I mean, victories, that thing is just going off. I'm to the point where I think we need 2 just to keep the loudness going, you know?
The fort that comes from Fort Highmark is actually a fort pit. As the fort historically had the soldiers inside and then all the families out and around. That's kind of what Fort Highmark feels like here. You have the team, which is inside, and then all the fans that are all around.
It's crazy, like, you know, you have like someone behind you. Like here, like, we don't want to lose any game. So to have the fans screaming, shouting each and every game, that give us extra energy to go out and do it for sure.
Passion and love, you know, we can feel their support. We know how much they care and how much we care for them. You know, we see them after every game. It's the same faces when we go to the Steel Army and shake hands after a win. So yeah, I would say that all the passion and love, and we appreciate it and want to give it back to them.
You know, when the Steel Army chants for a game, it's all 90 minutes. Once you're here, you're in, you're locked in. Down a goal doesn't matter, we'll still be louder than your next supporter section. Up a goal, we're even more louder than your next supporter section. The Steel Army is a section that is 100% behind its team, behind its coach. Even on the down days, we're still behind them. I mean, that's what a supporter section is supposed to be. You're supposed to support.
And then over our nicely placed Steel Army ad that we have on the boards over there. That's where, so we don't cover up any of the actual paying sponsors. We put our Love Pittsburgh, Hate Racism sign. And you know, that one is obviously very special to us because, again, we want to put forth, like, this is what we're about. You know, you're not bringing that into our stadium.
Being one of, well, probably one of the only, if not 2 or 3 other black members of the Steel Army, was when the Black Lives Matter movement happened. They jumped right on it and had a shirt ready for us. We were doing donations to support the movements that were going on. Same thing with the Tree of Life, same thing with our Pride Raiser that goes on.
I think it's been 4 years now. I think this is our 4th year doing Pride Raiser. And last I checked, we have 30 pledges this year. It's $216 per goal, I think, this year so far. All those profits from our Pride merch go to the same charity, and it's Persad Center here in Pittsburgh.
The Steel Army, the Riverhounds organization, they know how much the team means to me, so I got the logo tattooed on my ribs. And like I said, Riverhounds have kind of been with me my whole life, where I was actually able to get married to my husband on the field before the Phoenix Rising game, where it kind of started off as kind of like a joke because we were just going to go to the courthouse, nothing serious. And it kind of turned into Jeff and Josh and the whole kind of board and all of our friends and everything kind of blew it up, and we were able to have the ceremony on the field before the game. And they wanted us to kind of have our moment with the team because the team's kind of been with us through everything, and obviously we're going to follow the team wherever they go. And just to have an organization not just care about the soccer but care about us and the fans and the Army and everything it's true. I know a lot of people are going to say it's passion, it's love, but for us it's a little bit different because our love really started here and is continuing to go here. So the Riverhounds and Steel Army have truly been like the greatest thing to ever happen in my life, and it's pretty phenomenal.
We really ask for our members to be involved and to tell us like what's important to them. Sometimes it's not easy to get a ticket. It's not easy to know anyone when you're down here, but you know that your kids love soccer. It's like, we will welcome them in. We'll make sure that we're figuring out how to make that happen. And then, you know, part of what I love about the Steel Army and why I'm so involved is because if I had any kind of emergency, I can reach out to them and be like, hey, I need help with these 3 things. If someone told me like, this is really important to me, or I'm having an emergency, there's a whole group of people that I can reach out to in this city that I trust. And I would reach out to them in a heartbeat.
We can cheer, we can jeer. You know, we have many chants that probably will make the parents' face red. But at the end of the day, we're human, and we will support our fellow humans any way we can.
There was a buzz around the city. Everyone was talking about us just going into that game. So I think there's a lot of pressure for us to match that.
The parking lot was packed and people started coming down here, I want to say at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning to tailgate all day. That environment was just crazy.
So you knew it was going to be a sellout, but when the Hounds asked for a whiteout on very short notice, it was like, I don't know. I could see our section being white, but probably nothing else. But that entire stadium had white on. It was just walking into the stadium and seeing the entire crowd with white on. It was like, wow, they pulled this off. This is crazy.
But to see the grandstand start to come alive and actually remember the chants of the Steel Army and chant along with it. We saw during the Columbus Crew game in the last Open Cup match that they were actually copying our chants, and Columbus was surrounded on both ends by an entire Steel Army section, which is just amazing to see.
Just the amount of support this team got. Our stadium usually holds around 5,000, and we had like 6,000 and some attendance, so it's the biggest crowd we've ever had in the stadium. The section behind the goal where the Steel Army stands, the Paul Child section, was huge. Like, I'm used to being able to like halfway through the game, be able to go up and like talk to people, move around. I was just stuck where I was. Like, I can't move. If I do, I'm gonna lose my spot. So that was a good problem to have.
I am a hometown kid, and growing up here, like I've come to games from a young age, and that was before they even had Highmark Stadium. And then I've been coming and playing here and watching games here since it opened. So definitely go back a long ways, and then hopefully, you know, against an MLS team, you don't go in and you know, get blown out or anything, but we did more than that. We came out, we had a very strong performance, we controlled the game, and then we were able to get a goal in the first half and ultimately win the game. And just to put that together with the energy and the excitement that was coming from the fans and the community going into the game, it's special. I think it's rare, and definitely like a seminal moment for the club.
So Miracle on the Mon, that was a game against the Harrisburg City Islanders, at the time our biggest rival. That game was abysmal. The stadium was half empty. The game itself was, we were losing the whole time. Every time we got a goal, they would get another goal, so we could not get ahead of them.
But when it comes down to like this level, you know, you don't really have that big game feel a lot of times, unless it's in like the playoffs or something, or US Open Cup run, something like that. The opportunities might not always be there. But when you're playing your rival team and you know it's the 80th minute and you're down 5-3, and you're like, okay, this is done. You know, we can't. You know, especially the team back then. You know, you think, oh yeah, we can't score 2 more goals right now. Then it just happens. It's like out of nowhere. I mean, one of those goals we'll never see. We're never going to see the Danny Earls goal ever again.
It's funny because that was one of the games that I don't remember that very well because I couldn't really watch most of it. Being in the CAPO of the Steel Army, usually I'm facing the other way. Occasionally I'll turn around, you know, to watch the game. So I'm trying to lead a chant, crowd starts cheering. I look back and I see, you know, Kevin Kerr streaking down the side. Like, all right, that's cool. Look back around, another goal scored to turn around, almost fall out of my chair, screaming. So I've learned now to turn around and enjoy the game myself as well.
All I can think of is me hugging Josh and the joy in that moment that what just happened. I honestly don't think unless we win a championship in Highmark Stadium will we top that moment. And it didn't even, like the meaning of the game really didn't have any, it was early-ish season, you know, just another run-of-the-mill game. It was a rivalry, but it just, oh man, it was a wild time. Just mind-blowing.
Watching the replays back of that game, that was the shift. I mean, that was the shift of the Riverhounds, it feels like. After that, you know, they started getting sellouts. After that, Steel Army section started filling up. More chants were made. More players wanted to come and play. Lily came, you know, and it's grown into just such a force in Pittsburgh. You can't help but notice it.